Hello and welcome back to the KDL Preseason 2. We are doing now the solo portion of the broadcast today where 4 players from each part of the round of 16 lost, but they weren't eliminated because they are now going to meet in this final group we call the losers bracket here. Top 8 moved on already. This half now fighting for elimination. And if you lose here, if you are on the bottom half of this, if you're the bottom 4, then you're out of the tournament.
Yep, there's a lot of pressure today, unlike the match we've had in the winners match, as you can see in the overview. And we will be moving on to the round of 16 final match, these top 4 players. And once again, the bottom 4 will be eliminated, and then we move on to the finals.
Yeah, so the winners of today will face off in that final match against the top 4 of the, or the bottom 4 of the winners, which is very complicated to explain. But if you guys are familiar with the group style we use here, then you'll know. But here are the players who have already qualified for the finals: Jimin, Ding, World, and Spear. The rest of these other players, of course, competing here in losers. So the winners of this group will play against Cool, Looning, Hero, and Neil.
Right, it's such a packed lineup, I must say, Wolf. When we look at this, it doesn't feel like a loser's match.
No.
It looks like a winner's match. The names here, they just stand out. Most a star rookie player. He's been playing basically not like a rookie.
No, he's certainly not. And we've set several new track records this season. Cool, Spear, World, Jimin, and Ding have all set new records, as Looning has maintained the record on Desert Ancient Aqueducts, for example. That was set very early on this year. He's also holding one on Mine Rickety Rails. And Glacier Extreme Stadium, held by SUNGBIN at 151. I don't know if that's ever going to get broken. That was a pretty crazy record that he has there. So I'm looking forward to seeing if any more records will be broken tonight. It has been a crazy season in terms of how well each individual player has performed. We're going to go ahead and introduce all 8 racers and show you guys their seeding moving into this one.
And our first player is going to be Duzzi. And Duzzi so far, I feel like he has been shining. And if he's able to win today in the round of 16 losers match, it's his moment here in KDL Preseason 2.
Yeah, just coming right off of that loss as well in the team match. So definitely not off the high of momentum. Speaking of players high on momentum, HoJun, who will be our black racer this time around, 2nd seed, just did help his team secure a spot in postseason. And he wants to make it to that round of 16 final match. That's all he's saying there is, yeah, he's just showing everyone how popular and famous he is.
Yeah, it would be very surprising to see if HoJun drops out of this group. I am expecting him to be in the top 4 today.
Yeah. Most here, a new and up-and-coming amateur player who had a lot of hype around him, was able to qualify to the round of 16 through a pension-style play.
Right.
Not necessarily what you want here in this one. Very risky. You end up falling behind, you're going to have a rough time.
And our fan came up all the way from Suncheon to cheer for Most.
Yeah, getting fans already. As HyunSu, he's trying to catch up with Neil, Jimin, or potentially Byungsu. Maybe Neil and Jimin. He's going to come in here as another Live Sandbox representative here, and one of the favorites to get out of this group, no doubt.
HyunSu, he's been racing out of his mind in Preseason 1, and he's doing a good job in Preseason 2 as well. A strong contender here in the losers match. And SUNGBIN, another one of those strong contenders.
Yeah. The new ace for Kwangdong in team mode. He wants to have fun. Wants to have a fun time in tonight's round of 16 final match, potentially. Final
sure
match
he
is the
will.
one if he wins, but yeah, the losers match, I should say. And Spell, I think Spell has really improved a lot this year. I actually think he's one of the underdogs or dark horses to potentially get out of this group, and was eliminated in a losers match last time. See if it happens to him this time around, back to back. It's no weak feat to actually make it this far anyways, but maybe this time is the time where he actually makes it to that final round.
A core member of Seongnam Rocks and Spell, and of course JJONG, one of our more highlighted players off of the ace matches in Preseason 1. He's just gonna show some polite plays.
We'll see about that.
Yeah, I mean, if he's just taking every game first place, that's not very polite.
No. Definitely not polite. Well, if he makes space for everybody else, he's like, you guys can fight for second. I'm just gonna leave you guys alone. Joker, I'd say definitely our biggest underdog coming into this one. He's a very strong player. He's one of Sensation's guys, but he is going to have a rough time. He's the bottom seed. I think definitely stands out as one of our 8 players here who you don't expect to get out of this group, but definitely could surprise us. I mean, JJONG also, I feel like, has underperformed so far compared to our expectations.
Right.
And, you know, those are 2 players at the bottom of our seeding as a result of those underperformances that I could see struggle. But we're going to move into our first track now. It's going to be Glacier Extreme Stadium. We're starting things off with the hairpin turns early on this one, Peter, for our very first track here in the losers match. Off we go. Track number 1 here in the round of 16 losers match here for preseason 2. And HoJun with a fantastic start.
I love it how HoJun, he's just able to buy himself so much space off of his lines. However, you got to keep in mind that our players in the back, they will have a bit of an advantage in the boost gauge. So we're going to see them catch up real soon. Seems like JJONG, he's looking for that right now.
All right, SUNGBIN here pushing ahead as well, taking some really aggressive inners, and he's going corner to corner, going just straight across with those cuts while also building nitro. He's got a great amount of nitro built up so quickly here as well. So HoJun's going to use one to push ahead of him. Let's see if he can maintain that advantage. The answer is no, at least not for now, as we go into the hairpin turns for lap 1.
SUNGBIN and HoJun keep trading right now, and Spell is coming up to say, hey, I want to be in this top 2 as well. I am sick of this 3rd position. JJONG, however, he's going to be able to capitalize off the line that he took. He's able to keep up with HyunSu now.
HoJun has a slight nitro advantage, actually, and he's used it here multiple times. His cuts have been fantastic to build some extra nitro to keep contesting, as he has some collisions there on the back of the pack. But my eyes really are on this 1v1 between SUNGBIN and HoJun. By the way, a rematch of what we saw earlier today. Oh, boy.
HoJun, he takes a big collision there now. It's no longer a 1v1 between him and SUNGBIN. It seems like SUNGBIN, he wants to just take this first place all the way home. Joker and Most fighting in the 2-3.
HoJun, though, he did have some additional nitro, and he's actually maintaining top 4 right now and actually battling back in. I think his run is not done in this first track just yet, as Most is having a phenomenal start here as well, just creeping up. As SUNGBIN defends him, HoJun gets the inner on these hairpins. SUNGBIN, how good's your defense here? We're going to find out.
Fantastic there. I love how he's able to kick back HoJun. HoJun's still maintaining 2nd place. However, at this point, I'm sure he just wants to go for a safe line here to come in at least in that 2nd place.
He had that extra boost, but it's unfortunately just a little bit too late to pass SUNGBIN. So the rematch of the ace in these 2 meeting here in solo, and it is this time SUNGBIN who's going to come out on top. But man, HoJun kept it competitive the entire time. Extremely close back and forth between those 2. Most will get the podium finish in 3rd as well, so picking up a ton of points here in his first run will be the 5 he grabs on this one. And also, Joker is going to be the one who ends up in 4th, so bit of a surprising result here with HyunSu and JJONG underperforming here a little bit on our first track.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the players are down bad in points in our first track. SUNGBIN, he has a huge lead for himself. And I feel like SUNGBIN is a player that's pretty good at the pension type of play, so I feel like he's not going to give up on those points anytime soon. He's going to be one of our beacons of consistency.
I absolutely do agree. He will, of course, have track selection as well with his win of that first track, so can continue the momentum here. We'll see where we're going. It's going to be Desert Construction Chaos, so definitely can see some chaos here. This is always a scary one for solos because of how many ways you could fall off the map. Let's find out who's going to win this one, our track number 2.
We begin our round 2 of round of 16 losers match, and SUNGBIN's choice of track, but it does seem like SUNGBIN, he's down in 8th place right now.
Does seem that way, unfortunately, at the start of things, but it can definitely bounce back. Still early days here. JJONG, actually, speaking of bouncing back, bit of a rough start, finishing in 5th, now actually with a pretty nice lead. And Most, he likes to just hover around this 3rd, 4th place spot. This is kind of where he operates, and then sometimes he'll make that final push to 1st, and then otherwise he just tries to go for that pension style. And with the early lead he had with the podium, sitting in third again feels pretty nice.
Yeah, I feel like consistency is more important than grabbing first places in the solo, so I am loving his approach. He's able to capitalize off his opponent's mistakes and now come into second by focusing on his own line.
Yeah, it's a very reactionary playstyle here from Most. I like how you put that, as he even uses the brakes here to avoid those collisions. He's just trying to play his own race. He sees the other racers not as challengers really, but just obstacles on his way to a podium finish here. Duzzi, though, is going to pass him now. Most will Nitro second here as Duzzi takes the inner. Very neck and neck as SUNGBIN still back in 6. HoJun actually rounding out the pack after such a fantastic round 1.
Yeah, HoJun's definitely struggling to keep up right now. It's mostly a Most versus JJONG 1v1, and JJONG is going to win on that line here. Most, he's going to be able to trade a draft of his own, come in for the first place once again.
Yeah, JJONG expected him to take the outer there off the draft. He took the inner. We're going to trade spots again, but Most actually has a slight Nitro advantage right now. You can see him trying to utilize it. His Spell is going to see if he can capitalize on the collisions between these two players. Man, these corners are just so tight, and they are just not going to mess it up. Spell coming over here, looking to try to see, will they actually bump into each other? Will they hit a corner? And it's just not happening. He's going to draft his way in, but he is just not able to crack these guys.
And this was the toughest part of the track, but all three of our players are able to make it across with no trouble at all. JJONG still in the lead here. Let's see if Most can try to break that.
Oh man, so far he is 300 meters to go. JJONG, though, is going to pass him, but he takes the better inner, and he's actually going to just barely not take first place. It was so close, a photo finish. I thought he had that one. Production really on top of it, close. Though. They actually, I mean, they knew, even the referee runs over instantly there, but it is so close. And he'll still pick up a second podium here in second place. The Spell will end up finishing third, excuse me, but the top 3 of these players were top 3 the entire race, it felt like. As look at the difference here, just about 0.35 seconds is what is the difference between JJONG and Most there. But look at how close they are in the standings as well. SUNGBIN will pick up 0 points, but he's still in third with that first place from round 1.
You have to keep in mind that JJONG only took 3 drafts there, where every single other player took more than 10 drafts, so that's quite a difference. JJONG, his game plan was to just stay within his line and look for the best opportunity to draft, and he got just that.
Yeah, that's really well said. They're just playing more efficiently and trying to play defensively, whereas the rest of the team was just eating his dust for the majority of that track and trying to draft off of him, and they still couldn't get it done. So we're going to move into Desert Ancient Aqueducts here for round 3. Off we go here in round 3. Most leading the pack. Spell will actually pass him, as this one also, Ancient Aqueducts, one of the crazier ones. Watch this turn here, because you can kind of link once you get out of the path here, once you go to the outer part where the aqueducts are. You can link this to the next one as, Spell, he did it. SUNGBIN having some trouble.
Right, Most, he hit the walls, but he was able to have a nice recovery here. HoJun trying to come in on the inner, coming in for third place.
HoJun gonna try to use a Nitro here on the outer to pass, but everyone's gonna match his Nitro and won't be able to pull that distance he was looking for. Spell maintaining the lead for now, as we are starting to see a clear top 4 in terms of performances here on the first lap. And JJONG once again pushing through, will now compete with Spell, JJONG and Most once again, but this time HoJun back in form after that weak track 2.
Absolutely. Right now, Spell has been maintaining this first place without a hitch, and as we enter the tighter turns of the track, I believe this is where our players can try to make up for a lot of distance.
Yeah. HoJun using this Nitro to grab draft range, does pick up another one, will use it instantly, and he's just chaining these Nitros back and forth to go through these aqueducts carefully without any collisions. As Most actually, speaking of collisions, he's actually going to push into Spell and then kind of clip through him there as Spell moved to the right side. He has an opportunity to actually pick up a first place here. Look at the gap between him and the rest of the squad. It's pretty large, especially with all these collisions. Only Duzzi can challenge him.
Yeah, Spell completely fell back now. It's Most leading the pack, and he seems like he's going to be able to take this pretty much uncontested until Duzzi came in, now trying to apply whatever pressure.
Yeah, he's going to have to use that draft very well. So far, so good. How's Most's defense? Oh, too tight on the edge. Will collide and bounce back, still finishes second. So picking up a podium here with HoJun, but Duzzi will take his first win of the round, or of the group rather. Man, a very much competitive group that we're in here, a loser's match, you know, so to speak, but at the end of the day, we do have the same players every time contesting for those top fours, and most, you know, he's doing the pension style, but he's like, I'm top 3 podium pension style. And you mentioned SUNGBIN, he's normally pretty good at actually playing around like 2nd to 5th. That's usually where he hangs out. He has been struggling a little bit, only picking up 3 this time around, down in 5th place. So still in the top 4 running, but he's tied now with HoJun. Definitely not a safe place to be after what was such a great start for him in this round.
And HyunSu having such a tough start right now. He's in -2. He's been picking up a lot of bottom 4 finishes, and it's not going his way because now the gap between him and 4th place is more than 10 points. And we know how hard it is to make up for that wolf in the solo matches. We're already getting into our round number 4. A track picked by Duzzi. It's Forest Zigzag Timberlake. Off we go into our round 4 of round of 16 losers match, and it seems like Duzzi, he's gonna stick around in the bottom to try to pick up more booster gauge. Spell and SUNGBIN and Most having a phenomenal start.
Yeah, Spell and SUNGBIN, great start here. Most up in 5th, actually trying to take the inner and then corner here into turning both the inner to inner there, but is not going to be successful with that one. Great nitro here, though. He just slides past everybody. That was so slick, but also so insanely greedy. If he hit anybody there, he was going to drop back to last place, but he just threads the needle. But like, it's also like a really curvy thread, and the needle is really small and also bent at an angle.
Yeah.
But he's now able to get up to top 2 here, competing with Spell.
It's going crazy right here in Zigzag Timberlake, which is exactly what we expect to see. So far, Spell has been maintaining that first place pretty consistently. Most, once again, with this phenomenal pension style in 2nd place.
Yeah, Most also now, when some of these corners, able to win out better than HoJun and ended up wrestling away 1st place, and the gap is actually widening here. And HoJun's now kind of the gatekeeper between Most and the rest of the team. He's not sweeping for him because this is solos, but it feels like he is, considering how much of a gap there is. As Duzzi also now trying to compete here, as Most is losing a little bit of control. It's just constant drafts here. Duzzi looking for an opportunity.
Yeah, Duzzi came in like a bolt of thunder right there, but he's going to fall back into 5th place now. Most, he is still maintaining the top of the pack. HoJun putting a lot of pressure, and I like that HyunSu is making a comeback, a run for 1st place because he desperately needs points.
Yeah, Most is so on the edge of taking this one. Like, he and HyunSu are neck and neck, and HyunSu needs this so desperately, like you were mentioning, with a -2 scoreline right now. This could be what saves him and gives him the momentum he needs to potentially qualify for that final round of 16 match. Maintain that lead for now, as SUNGBIN now going to make his opportunity, try to take his opportunity here with the final part of this last lap here. Most back in 1st. Oh, a bit of a collision there for HyunSu, and look at Most, he's just so clean.
Yeah, the lines are just absolutely phenomenal. He is not choking at a single point so far. HoJun is also looking to do the same, but oh my god, HoJun! He manages to find a way to pass Most.
Oh man, these 2 players, it's crazy how consistent they have been in this group. As Spell will drop down to 7th, he's also been very consistent, but HoJun finally going to take a 1st place finish here. But Most, he is just hitting podium after podium after podium. SUNGBIN also this time going to pick up a podium finish. It's 3rd, so it's not the one he was looking for, but he'll pick up 5 points nonetheless. And you can see in terms of the boost here across the board, almost exactly the same. As Duzzi, he tried to make so many aggressive passes, but unlike Most, he had 9 collisions there. He was constantly hitting people while trying to make those aggressive plays. Now Most is halfway to closing this group out here at 26 points. He has definitely been the most consistent, but HoJun is a close 2nd.
As you said, Most, he hasn't picked up a single win yet so far, but his podium finishes have been so great that the overall point gain still puts him at 1st place. And right now in 4th, it is a hot battle. HyunSu, he tried to make a run for it. He came into 1st place, but it wasn't enough. He is still struggling in this group today.
certainly. As you know, for the side of the bottom part of the standings, you know, it's almost out of time. You know, it's been very competitive. We're not looking at 35, 40 points just yet, but we are getting closer. Let's move into our next track here, World Tour, New York Rally. Off we go. Right now, Most living up to his name. He is #1 in points. He has the most of them. HoJun, a nearby second. As HyunSu, unfortunately, is down at -3. Maybe look at the current standings. Joker with a surprisingly good start here, but it looks like he may lose control of it. I say that. He's actually able to take inner to inner.
Ooh,
and Most Caster Curse.
Yeah, he's not going to get the pension finish anymore, Wolf, after that one. It seems like it's Duzzi, JJONG, and HoJun running away right now with the top 3. SUNGBIN, he wants to put his name on the board and come in first.
Now, luckily for Most on New York, there's a lot of narrow passages, and we see all these collisions coming through. I don't think he's necessarily doomed to 8th. I don't think he's going to get a podium finish, that's for sure. But you can see he's actually able to close some of the distance here because of all these collisions, and he is able to just freely chase and catch up. So, actually went down to 25 meters. Away from first place here, so he's still relevant. It's a one-lap track, though.
Like SUNGBIN and Duzzi, they're going to be able to come in from the outside with a lot of momentum in their pockets because they are racing off right now in the top 2 uncontested. Only Joker and HoJun finally catching up.
He pushes out of first place here with SUNGBIN passing him right now. It's just neck and neck. Most, he closed the gap quite significantly, but he's not able to even break into 7th. As SUNGBIN, he is trying to take this one into his own hands.
Absolutely. HoJun is going to look for the inner. However, the fantastic block coming out of SUNGBIN once again, and he's going for a block onto Duzzi as well. SUNGBIN is playing 1v2 out of his mind, and he secures first place.
Almost impossible to do what SUNGBIN just did there, especially on that final turn where you have to block 2 different players from actually passing you, because you're not only are you have to hit both of them, or you're definitely going to at least drop to 2nd. You might drop to 3rd. You have to hit both of them, but in order to hit both of them, you have to lose speed, and you have to actually go diagonally, which he did. So you lose a lot of distance that way in terms of where you're traveling. But because of him hitting both, he actually still maintains first place. We almost just like witnessed a miracle that he was able to do that and also maintain.
Just as you put it, Wolf, SUNGBIN, he came in with the superhero play, secured himself the first finish of the day. That's going to put him now 28 points firmly in the lead. Now you look at 4th place, it's only Duzzi and JJONG fighting it out. They're 2 points apart.
Very much a close top of the pack here, but I think the dividing line between the top 4 and the bottom 4 is starting to also widen and become more significant here. And some of these players look like they are not going to that final match. Nothing is set in stone until it's over, but the chances are getting smaller and smaller as we are going to go now to Boom Hill Tunnel here to see what is going to happen next in this round of 16 losers match.
Off we go into our round 6 of round of 16 losers match. It feels like HyunSu has been really struggling in this group so far, so let's see if he can get in the top 3.
And the other player, you know, HyunSu he has been consistently struggling, so he's at -4. But one player I want to point out too is Spell, who in the first few tracks was actually playing incredibly well. Like, he was getting those podium finishes, he was challenging for first place, and he just has not been able to maintain consistency. He's now down at 9 points, which I think doesn't really tell the story of how well he's played in this round of 16 losers match. Now, he's in top 4 right now. See if he can break into top 3. He needs it so desperately if he can prove that he actually did have a good night of Kart Rider tonight, because I think he has. But the points just aren't telling that story right now.
It is so competitive right now in the top pack. We have 6 players constantly crashing into each other. As we see Duzzi, he's going to be able to make use of that. He has so much free room for himself, racing off into first place. As we see, the players take the railing build. Some players actually missed it.
Duzzi maintaining first for now. You see Spell, we were talking about him. Looks like the Korean casters may have focused on him as well. He and HyunSu both dropping back here. So everybody's going to take that ramp. Both ramps will be followed here, but HyunSu, man, He and HoJun way back in 8th place right now. A bit of disruption caused there with some collisions, and that's going to be Duzzi taking another first place finish here. Joker and HoJun. Yeah, don't retire. Don't do that. That is a -5. It was a little bit of fun had, but will not be retiring.
Unlike team matches, right?
Yes. Now, one of the main reasons why we have actually -5 for retire is because so that you don't have players just sit back and wait it out for fun. Because don't want that. HoJun will lose 1 point for taking last place, 3 seconds behind Joker. But Duzzi, he is going to move up in a big way in the standings here. SUNGBIN 35 to 32 here for Duzzi, most at 31. And look at the gap between HoJun. Even with the -1, he would be at 30 if he had finished just 1 place higher. If he had finished in top 3, like, the gap would be even more massive. But 29 to 21 is an 8-point gap between him and JJONG. And then the rest, they're just not even in the conversation.
That's why Duzzi picking up this first place win was so important, because he picked up 10 points. He used to be only 2 points ahead of JJONG, but now he is massively in the lead, and that's why we're seeing the top 4 really separate from the bottom 4, Wolf.
Yeah.
It seems like it's really hard for players to recover right now. We are already done with our round 6. We are now moving on to our 7th track, chosen by Duzzi in Mine Winding Slopes.
Off we go here, round 7. We are getting very close to the end of this solo match as Duzzi and Most up at the top of the standings with SUNGBIN right now. That win for Duzzi so huge, as you mentioned. Spell, he was able to pick up a few points there on that last round, but it feels like really JJONG is the only player in contention right now with the rest of the squad, and if he's able to pick up a first place, that would be huge. He's in first right now. Maybe the prophecy has been spoken. We'll see if he can keep it in this one-lap track.
But the amount of pressure that HoJun always applies in that top 1-2 is incredible. You can see him, he's able to actually take away that first place. Now JJONG, he hits the wall multiple times, he's able to recover still and maintains the 2nd place, but it does mean the gap between JJONG and HoJun is larger.
Yeah. See all these players have this track so memorized, starting off the drafts, or the drift, excuse me, before they even hit the ground, as HoJun does maintain that advantage over JJONG right now, and JJONG is contesting with Most, with Duzzi, with HoJun. HoJun actually taking this win over him would be huge as well. See Duzzi down at 6th place.
Oh!
Spin turn attempt from HyunSu.
Yeah, so many players went for it. HyunSu got the best end of that one. So far, HoJun running away with this first place. JJONG, he's trying to apply pressure here on this jump, but it seems like HoJun's going to be able to finalize in first place.
Bit of a rocky landing there from JJONG as well. Won't end up mattering because he had such a big gap after HoJun between him and the rest of the team. But, or rather the rest of the squad, but it won't end up mattering. He does end up taking 2nd place here and the 7 points that come with it. HoJun also 3 points now wider the gap between him and JJONG. But let's see what it does to the standings here, because it's still very close. As you can see, all these points coming through. Duzzi only picking up 4 here, so JJONG getting a 3-point lead over him.
Man.
It's still possible here for JJONG. Most down at 30. Like, it's between him and Most now as the most competitive 2 spots.
Because Most came in at -1 completely in the last place. That's the snowball now. Most really playing for his life at this point. Being 2 points away from JJONG, angry JJONG, must be terrifying.
Definitely is. Angry JJONG is a scary thing. And he was so close to picking up the 10, which would have actually put him ahead and given him the opportunity to actually qualify. Now he still can if he can continue to get this momentum going, because he had a very rocky start in our first few rounds. He has really turned it around. Most also on the other side of things, dropping back a little bit. So we'll find out which one of these 2 players can be more consistent as we move to Korea Circuit for round 8.
We are now here in round 8, ladies and gentlemen. SUNGBIN, he just needs 1 more first place finish, and he's at 50 points, meaning our race will end.
That is exactly right. So very close to the end. SUNGBIN, the only one who has the power to do so.
I like how you said that. It's like, he feels so powerful now, but he's still sitting at 8th place.
Yeah, 8th place at the moment, but we have seen crazier things happen. JJONG It's Angry JJONG. I like how you put it in. He has a history of starting off a little bit rocky, but then pulling it through at the end. That's why he's the ace player for Rocks as well. You know, at the end, he's strongest. And so far here, maintaining top 3. Really critical that he's this far ahead of Duzzi as well, competing with Most, who's in 5th. Those are the ones he wants to pass. He's actually fighting for first for a moment here, as this is a very competitive 8th round right now. I mean, everybody's clumped up. Anything could happen.
Yeah, our eyes are fixated on Most and JJONG the most at the moment because those 2 players are fighting it out for the 4th spot. But JJONG, he's down in 7th. Most, he's fighting for top 4.
All right, JJONG's got to be so annoyed here too because of how dense this pack is. He fell behind and now breaking through is so difficult. He was in a much better position before, and collisions like this one, you know, that's exactly what you don't want to have happen right now when you're fighting for your tournament life here, as he just has no angle to break through. Being in first is such a free and liberating feeling when you're actually out in the front because you know that no one else is going to be able to block you or hit you. Joker's now occupying that spot, playing spoiler here.
Absolutely, and it's really important to note that SUNGBIN, he was making a run for first place, but everyone just kind of lined up and blocked SUNGBIN out. Now he's going to fall into 8th place. Our players really want to go to a round 9.
Yeah, JJONG here in 5th, significantly ahead of Most, who could lose another point here. That could be the defining moment here in this losers match. Duzzi looking for another podium, another first place. Spell passing him on the outside here, and he's going to be able to take it first place. HoJun drops back to 8th, Most in 7th. So that's going to put him significantly behind JJONG, who will pick up a top 4 finish here. And now JJONG will be able to occupy the lead.
Yeah, that is going to be enough for JJONG. He's going to be 2 points ahead of Most now because Most picked up 0 points off of that one.
And for Spell, you've got to feel good about picking up a first place here, but you still know ultimately your chances are almost 0 of getting out of this one, but at least you're playing well despite the odds, despite everything being stacked against you. You love to see players be able to bounce back like that. He moves up to 23. Now, if we see SUNGBIN struggle here and JJONG and Most also struggle and he picks up another first place finish, it's not over till it's over.
Absolutely.
But JJONG will take that lead as we were talking about before. All eyes on him.
And HyunSu is finally going to escape the 0-point curse. He's in the positive now.
He's in the positives,
so,
albeit slightly.
Yes, and now it seems like once we get into our round 9, if either players between SUNGBIN and Duzzi, they get 7 points, which is 2nd place, our track is going to end.
Well, we are going to a wild one now. This one is, we're getting deep in. We're going into round 9. It's going to be Rio de Janeiro here. See who's going to take the lead on this one. Off we go here on Rio de Janeiro. One of the most fun starts to any KDL track. See that everyone's jumping out off the boosters, and this one is very rarely picked. You usually only see it when you get super deep because this one gets volatile. This one has narrow choke points but also wide open spaces. The jump from the start prevents you from actually doing early cuts to actually build nitro, so a lot of players don't like this track, but it's going to be the track of choice. HyunSu in first place now.
Absolutely, this is a super wide track the whole way through, as you put it, Wolf. And I feel like HyunSu, as long as he focuses on his line, he's going to be able to take this away because there's not a lot of room for these players to pressure to rank 1. They're too busy being clumped up right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of U-turns. Like, the early parts gets wider and then narrow, the wider, the narrow, but then it gets pretty open over here. And when you go to these turns like this one, you don't have a lot of agency as the player's trying to pass here because it's so wide open. It's hard for you to make your mark known, and without actually colliding with the other players are going to take the same efficient turn. So you either play safe and lose speed, or you play risky and collide. So getting an early advantage, like you say, is so important. However, JJONG is actually suddenly going to skyrocket forward here into first. Duzzi has that additional nitro here. Let's see if JJONG can build one up. 100 meters to go, and Duzzi will take it.
Yeah, Duzzi, he's going to get 50 points off of that one. All he needed there was a 2nd place finish, but no, he's going to come in first place, and that is going to solidify his standings in the group first place as well.
And JJONG will also be able to take, with that podium 2nd place finish, the qualification here over Most. It looks like, as long as we get the full calculation, it does appear that he is going to be able to take a massive lead. Most at -1, so that does it. So we do have our clear and defined top 4 and our eliminated players. And Most, he had a very good first season as a rookie player here. he, Joker, Spell, and HyunSu will be eliminated. HyunSu really having a rough night here. Uncharacteristically weak performance, but what can you say? It's a tough group. And JJONG, he bounced back in a big way. Duzzi, his teammate, will take first. SUNGBIN, HoJun will be advancing. And HoJun will actually get that opportunity to potentially play in his first KDL preseason finals if he wins that matchup, of course, in the final part of round of 16.
Super exciting for our 4 players here, HoJun and SUNGBIN. It's representing their team, and it's nice to see that the Seongnam Rock Steels, they're able to make it up together. And we saw the relief on Duzzi's face when he was able to finalize the race on that one. He was really focused down to the last track, and I feel like that's what really won him that last race.
Yeah, I agreed. Rio Data Nitro is so crazy too. It's one of the toughest ones to really fully, properly map out, especially when you're not ahead the whole time. As yeah, we hear our results, just to read them off one more time. Most, Joker, Spell, and HyunSu are eliminated. Duzzi takes first place. We'll have that first seed moving into the final match. First part of the second seeds, of course, SUNGBIN, HoJun, and JJONG will move on. And that final match is such a stacked group. And honestly, these results, they're not that surprising. I'd say HyunSu underperformed. Most, I think he played very well, but he wasn't able to clutch, you know, like a rookie often struggles to do. Joker was one of the underdogs. He didn't make it through. I guess the one thing that feels like it kind of goes against expectations is Spell, because he had such a great start. It really looked like, man, he's actually going to come out as one of the dark horses. He's actually getting out of this group, and he looked really good until, unfortunately, he didn't.
Absolutely. The consistency was what set apart the top 4 of the losers match today. Unlike the winners match we've had yesterday, where it was close the whole time till the end. And it must be scary for these guys in the losers match to go up now against even stronger competition, because already today was so fierce.
It really was. And, you know, I still have to mention and let everyone knows this, but it's preseason, right? So still trying to figure things out, still developing as players, a lot of these people. But most, you know, he came in as one of the most hyped, you could call him like a solo queue player, right? He's not on a professional team. He's not playing in the team league at all. He is a new talent that everyone has seen because he's rocketed up through leaderboards, held a lot of records, etc. But he played very well tonight, unable to move on, but I think we have not seen the last of this new and up-and-coming player. That is going to do it for us, though, for the week. Thank you so much, Peter, for joining me. And it has... Oh, sorry, match results. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a look at the
we
results.
Still got to look at those a bit more. Don't worry, guys. We're not going anywhere.
We'll be taking a look at the match results. We'll be going somewhere later, but why don't you tell everybody what happened in this first Team League match, Peter?
Yeah, I mean, it was a crazy day, Wolf, and it started off all right here. Sensation versus KWANGDONGFREECS. What a matchup, and it is such a storyline for Sensation being able to take that win against a team like KWANGDONGFREECS, which solidified their placement in the postseason.
Yeah, very... I wouldn't call it an upset necessarily, but I think it was a very important win. KWANGDONGFREECS were trending downward a little bit after that last loss. And Sensation, they beat them in speed. I mean, that's all you really need to know, right? They won the ace match, which was super clutch and really close, but I think when you see the speed win over KWANGDONGFREECS, that alone should make you want to respect this team as a real playoff contender. And then we, of course, had our second series, which, despite it not going to an ace match, was extremely close, both speed and item with the distance.
Yeah, it was really about momentum swinging both ways, but in the end, it swung in the path of Liv Sandbox more, and I'm sure Liv Sandbox were overjoyed as we saw them cheer on stage that they didn't have to go to ace match, and they're able to solidify their first place in the standings now.
Yeah, so we do have a few more team matches left to play.
Yeah.
Next week, of course, we'll be finishing off the regular season. You could see that any team that's played 7 in here is actually done, being Liv Sandbox and Showtime, but the rest of the teams will still have matches to play. And, I mean, you know, we have our playoffs decided, of course, but still movement can happen, as this is crazy. So, final match players here, Duzzi, HoJun, SUNGBIN, and JJONG. And then, of course, Jimin, Ding, World, and Spear are waiting in the final. So, the players on the top of the winners match who do not have a finals next to their name, Pool, Looning, Hero, and Neil, will also be meeting those players on the bottom side. That's going to be the last round of 16 group. So, it's pretty insane.
Can you imagine, Wolf? Neil, Cool, Hero, and Looning coming down to meet you? It's like the final boss. You're moving up in that list of bosses.
But it's not even the final boss, because it's like the final boss before the final boss that you have to play. Yes, these are going to be the matches
Oh
on
my
Wednesday.
goodness.
So
That second match.
Kwangdong versus Rocks is huge for seeding for the playoffs. And
Yeah.
Aura can play spoiler a little bit to Sensation. I think even though Aura is statistically eliminated from playoffs, Sensation versus Aura should be a very good match. I'm really looking forward to that one. Seraphic and Potential fighting for standings on the bottom.
And keep in mind that if Sungnam Rocks wins against Guangdong Freaks with a nice round differential, they will once again take back first place against Live Sandbox in the standings. So it is going to be a nice boost of confidence for them if they secure that.
Yeah, it's a really important matchup, absolutely. So that is going to be our matches on Wednesday. Of course, will be further matches on the weekend, but that's our Team League only day here at the KDL. Of course, the solos will resume when we get to the weekend. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for joining me, Peter. For the rest of you guys, we will see you on Wednesday for those 3-team matches.
Take me downtown, we can see